So NASA put out a picture today which proves beyond any doubt that I have been correct in not only telling you the moon's projection, but also the source of the projection from the projector, whose name is Satellite Dave J. I'm going to go ahead and show you a picture of that first, and then explain this picture, which was put out by NASA on the 14th of June, which would have been, to your perspective on Earth, a full moon. You can see right here in this picture, that would be the so-called Earth, that would be the so-called atmosphere layer, or the lower atmosphere. This would be in the area of what they claim the International Space Station hoax is at. This is going to be, in numbers, about 250 miles up. Just stick to miles. About 250 miles up, you have this source of the photograph, which is no more than, think of the atmosphere as just a different consistency, but still an ocean or a sea. So if you would like to build a satellite, let's say you want to put a satellite up, right? You don't need, it's not going to space. You don't need thrusters and boosters and none of that nonsense. You're going up into an atmosphere. You're going up into just a different medium. So you would need to then pressurize a cube shape or a cylinder shape, something that you can block off the ends and control the pressure, because you're going to be putting some gas, lighter than air, I would use neon, into that cavity, and on the outside of the cavity you would put your solar panels, which would then power your unit but also act as steering, and then you would put stabilization rods out from your cube, which would keep it righted during flight. You could basically swim your camera around in the upper atmosphere or the thermosphere, because you can see it's at the same height. So 250 miles, that's called the thermosphere, as I've told you before. That's where this image shows itself. And then on the where we're at, we see it as this, and you can see it's a projection. You can see that that's not out in space. You can see a cloud moving in front of it. I'll change the focus, and you will see the clouds behind it. That illusion is caused because of the light source. That is a light only. That would not happen if it was a body in space. You can't have both. So let's move on to the picture and show you how much of a hoax it truly is. I find this interesting that it's also the second. It's called the thermosphere, and if you recall, I remember I put out one of my videos and I told people, yeah, the projector and the moon projection are in the thermosphere. They're like, oh, now you're making up stuff. Anyway, man, so if you want to go into the neon and why that would be the gas I'd use, take a look here. It'd be the numbers Y. All right. Then you can also look into the properties of that if that interests you. But moving on, you can see that this is from on board the ISIS, they call it, ISS, at the height of this, and that's right here, 248 miles. That's about as high as you're going to get. Okay. So let's look at that. That right there is a picture from the same angle as this picture, you would say, right? That's from also, but you can see that that's a Photoshop. See the square around the so-called moon? So that moon's just been put in there. Let me show you the latest picture and show you why it's different. That's a real picture. Why? Because when I go over it, look, what you're taking the picture of is there. Had this been all black, it would have been a CGI, but I can actually see the light source at each one of these. Now look again at where they're claiming that that's a rocket. You can see that that's not a rocket, that's a projector pointing at you, not up. Okay? And then that projector in turn projects this. You can see that that's not a moon. You can see that. That's why it looks all fuzzy. It even looks fuzzy down here, and you're wondering, right? This puts a kibosh on all the liars that contend with me about optics. You're wrong. That's a projection, and NASA proved it with this picture. This, man, I couldn't have done any better. This is exactly what I was looking for. Now look behind it if you don't mind. Do you see anything back there? You see anything? Do you see anything? All of you that talk about deep space, where is it? You have nothing but words. Nothing but words. And you look at this, I show you that what I've been telling you is true, and you're still going to bicker with me. You're still going to call me a moron and a Cletus and every other thing. Why is that? Because you don't want to look at what's right in front of you. What they're showing you is real. This is almost funny because it's mocking. It's like, yeah, I'll put this out, and then a few people will see and say, dude, well, that proves it. And everybody else will say, oh, neat picture. Nobody's going to wonder why the moon looks like it's all smeared out. Because it's not a moon. It's just light. Their photoshopped picture proves that. The distance I told you about proves that. Their own description proves that. Okay, so then if this is new to you, you're like, oh my goodness. And then now what you're going to do, I hope, is sit. Don't talk. Sit. And think about what you just saw. Take away all the magical powers of the so-called moon. All the magical powers that you quite literally learned about in the 2nd grade. That's how sub-basement, low-level lie this is. You were told a bunch of magical powers. Oh, it controls the tides and the blah and the blah. Forget about all that nonsense. You have no proof of that. Nor do they. It's called a prevailing theory. And everyone who doesn't jump on the prevailing theory is labeled a moron. So I suggest this to you. All of those that liked to contend with me. And many of you, what's funny is you admit openly. You admit openly, oh, I didn't watch the video. And I feel good about it. Calling that guy a moron. I mean, that's quite literally real comments, you know. Close enough. And so, okay, fine. You don't want to look at this? If you don't look at something, how then do you have an opinion about something? Most people don't want to look at this information I give because it blows everything up. Everything they thought was real. Now, this is a lot bigger than telling you that World War II is a hoax, because it is. Or Sandy hoax, because it is. Or Columbine, or Aurora, or the controlled demolition of 9/11. All contrived and lies. Where nobody died and nobody got hurt. But you'd rather believe in death and fairy tales and tides, regardless of what you see and are presented. It's what you would rather believe in. You have chosen your pantheon of gods. You've put them up on a shelf. And if anybody dare comes up and even looks at them, you're going to have some words for them, aren't you? They're going to be a moron or all kinds of other things. I tell you what you better be looking at. And that is at your own testimony. Salvation is through Jesus Christ alone, through which you are returned to the Father in heaven. You are given the Comforter, through which you will not be lied to, and you cannot lie. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave the end of the world of batshit to original video review up, where I go over all of the hard evidences that led up to this picture being released by NASA of a so-called Russian space launch, of which you can now see with a single image that what I had been telling you for now 3 years is in fact true. Not only true, but I've given you the actual proof. And now, before I leave you, I'm going to give you my own picture of the satellite. This is one of those pictures that that I have not seen one person say boo about, because one, you can see it and it'll be in the description. It's high def. It's my picture of the satellite Dave J, what I call the satellite, basically fish. Just think of a fish in the sky, a mechanical fish, to where you can swim it around. Don't get tied up in all this space jargon with the boosters and all that nonsense. At that altitude, once you put something in motion, it's in motion. You just need to steer it around, man. Anyway, so that's the satellite. You can see the so-called stars in the background are stable. They're not blurred. And then you can see whatever those are. It may be a jack in the box. Who knows? Whatever. You can see that they're straight. They're not blurred. That right there is then the satellite, or what's projecting the image. You see it's pumping out the plasma. Plasma is the colored aurora within a vacuum field, by the way. Calling a satellite. It's called Dave J, because nobody else wants it. Now I'm going to show you a picture of what that satellite looks like in action. All right. So first off, last night what I did was I went ahead and I adjusted my camera to allow in as much light as it wanted to, which was about, I guess, about 10 seconds total. So you can see it's basically white. I made it dark by simply just turning down my setting. And you can see it looks perfect. It's like a nighttime image. Now this right here is going to be what's projecting it. As you can tell, it's down right here right there at the center bottom right now. And let's zoom in on it. Okay, I've switched perspectives in a different picture. This is just of the satellite itself in operation. And then on the final image, I'll bring it in to where you can actually see the shape of the projection. And you'll see that it's a very recognizable... Okay, I think you can agree that today is the 4th of January. That would be this configuration. Okay. You down for that? Notice this is outside my house right now. That would be a tree, another top of a tree. These would be stars back here. Alright, back in here. See that? That supposedly is that, which of course it's a projection, because that would be this area down here, which of course is facing the wrong direction. Alright? Let me explain that to you. I've roughly drawn the line that it should be on, i.e. it should be up and down, not this way, not looking like an eyeball. It should be opening and closing like a door. Alright? Now that that's out of the way. This, do you notice here in the background, that whole rest of the projections back there? That's because I can see it as well as you can see it. That means it's a lie. See that? You can't now claim that you don't know that that's a projection, because it's plain as day. Okay, I'd like you to train your eye to the upper left. Okay, we're at ground level, approximately 60 degrees up from the ground level. Alright, at that angle, and I'm going to show you how to discern this projection and explain why that one crater appears to move 180 degrees across the night. And I guess I don't want to say across, because it's across the day as well, but just over the 12-hour period, or more, give or take, that it's visible to you, if it is. So let me first go in and show you that, and that's going to explain that, because at some point the producer, the satellite that makes this, lost its R, its wrist. In robotics it would be the R, or the rotation. So it can no longer properly rotate to adjust, because it's a lot closer than, you know, what people would call the moon if it was out in space. So in order to correct for that, it had to rotate, right? Well, if that function goes away, it's going to appear to do a corkscrew all night, like literally do 180, and then the southern hemisphere would see a 180. Therefore, over 24 hours, it would do literally a 360, which is just not right. Okay. So, anyways, it's literally, man, I'm telling you, it is cold tonight. Anyways, being that we're dealing with kind of like, think of your eyeball and how it's curved. What's producing this image, and why there's not something hidden directly behind the moon, because you're not looking through a window, all right? So if something's being projected, the projection would have to be curved to account for the distance, right? So let's see that, being that there's going to be curving, because you're looking basically projecting on the inside. We're looking at the inside of the bowl. Do you understand? So we're going to have to find that projector. So we're going to go down, and there you can see it flashing right there. Do you see it? Hold on. Yeah, there you go. You see it flashing. Alright, and you can kind of make out the beam slightly with your eye. Let's go and find it. Hold on. We're going to move that right to the center. Alright, and we're going to zoom in on it. Alright. So what we're going to do in this video is, I guess the old saying is, just pull out enough to win. And there's one thing I just detest, quite frankly. I'll just be honest with you. It's just beyond too much. It is the fact that people call me a liar when there is absolutely zero proof that I'm a liar, because I haven't lied to you about a thing. They also like to call me a Bible-thumping hypocrite, which is just beyond me. I don't even know what that means, being that I don't thump anyone with the Bible ever. So we live in this wicked-ass world, and unfortunately, sometimes I don't mean to bring this out, because I really could care less what you think, but I just will not be called a liar. Alright, so I'm going to now prove the case to you, as I have how many times before. Alright, that's a picture of the moon. I just took it tonight. That's a projection. It's not out in space. Alright. One, you can see the projection colors here. Alright, we're not even close to done, so just sit there and shut up. Alright, do you see it? It's a projection. This is high def, man. This is high def. Let me explain this to you. Alright. Ready? This is, that right there, that's a star. You get that? And do you see the pixelation of the star? This thing, in close Earth atmosphere, because it's just a projection, is completely broken up. Alright, that's just the first thing. Let's keep going. Alright, so I did this. I went ahead and took a few more just to bring in these. One more. Let's do one more. just to bring in the constellations, a long exposure, so that I can bring that in, and you can actually see that there is no moon there. Okay, you can see that, right? Wah, wah, wah. I mean, alright, let's go to the tree down here. You can see there's the physical tree there. I can go and touch it. And you can go into the back and you can see these stars in the back, as they say. Alright, and you can see the depth. There's no moon there. I mean, yeah, you can see that now, right? Alright, let's keep going for those who still don't want to believe. Alright? So what I did here is, now that is the projector, believe it or not. These are stars. Do you notice how I took a long exposure, and do you notice how these move in a very regular pattern? Alright? This does not. Do you see that? Let's keep going. There it is. Let's keep going. There it is again. Alright, do you see the actual stars back there? This is because I didn't take such a long exposure this time. But then this is still moving, because that is the projector, which will be to the... Let's keep going. There it is again. There it is again, and you can see it actually spitting out the green and the slightly kind of... Let's see what that looks like, actually. The green and slightly kind of purplish color. Alright? And what's nice about this, and the reason I did this, was I wanted to get the picture here of it to show you exactly where it is. And it's right there. That's it. That is the projector. Alright, where are you at? That is the projector. Do you see it? That's proof positive. Absolutely, without a doubt. 100%. Guaranteed. Fact. That's the moon. That's the projection of this from that. Alright? Because you're dealing like as a fishbowl. You're not looking through a window. So if you're dealing with a 3D space, from out in space, right? From out here, if it's farther out than this image, this will look to the side from it. From your perspective, it's like looking at your leg in water. It's going to look bent. Let's keep going. Alright? You can see the regular so-called stars in the back. This is the projector right there. Alright? And you can see some of the projected light coming off, the purpling. Because that's from the red, green, blue flashing. Alright? There it is. That is the projector. 100%. Now, the reason I took these long photos is so that I can identify areas on this next program, and I'll move to that next. Yeah, just so you guys can see, I went ahead and listed all the satellites that would be flying at the time, just to make sure that, had we gone through, to make sure that this is the same perspective we're looking at. Right, kind of right about there, boom, for this picture, as you can see. Right there is the object in question. That is that is the satellite that's projecting, but it's not a listed satellite, as you can tell. The closest one would be these two. They're way far away. So that's covered. It's not a listed. So I'm actually just going to name this satellite Dave J, being that nobody else wants to lay claim on it. So this is now satellite Dave J. Discovered. Alright? And let's keep going to show you more proof that that is in fact what I'm saying. Alright, hold on. Let me get to some more pictures. Hold on. Okay, what I did here was I just set the camera up to take a picture of this and just let in enough light to just to see whatever light would be allowed in. So let's just run through these pictures, and you're going to see something. Right? See it flash off? Alright, let me go back to where it flashed off. That's your projector. I'm trying not to lose my patience, but you can see that it's a flashing Because I took these back to back to back, and you can see it's a flashing projector. All right. There's no doubt about that. Let's keep going. All right. There is no doubt about that. I have ample proof and evidence that that is what it is, and I have told you that for years now. All right. The moon is a projection. All right. And it's being projected from this thing. All right. And I'm calling it the satellite Dave J, because nobody